Cookie Bucket and Rhythm to the Podcast, episode 21. We're going to be talking about The Briefcase, made by my favorite director of all time, Zach Garrigus.
Oh. Thank you.
You're welcome. Jeez, the synopsis. So I couldn't find a synopsis on IMDb or Wikipedia.
What a surprise.
And even when I watch it, I still can't write a description about it. So there's this briefcase. There's some people, some things happen, and it's 10 minutes, and I don't know. There's a briefcase, We're inside the mind of the director, and I don't understand what the director is doing.
Is it really that vague?
Yes.
Wow, I did worse than I thought.
Yeah, there's this briefcase, and there's this guy, Rip, who's driving a Prius for some odd reason. Wasted money there. And there's this girl, Jenna, I think her name is?
Yes.
I don't think her name is ever referenced at all.
I don't think in the dialogue, no. I cut most of the dialogue.
Hey, dialogue on point. And then they go in the woods, and I don't know, Jenna just I don't know.
You don't know.
Rip freaking kills somebody. I don't know. That's about it.
Yeah.
There's a briefcase, and then Rip dies, and then Jenna runs off into the woods to live as a hermit. For the sequel, I guess. Anyway, what were your overall impressions of the film?
Usually I would start, but I feel like considering that I made this movie, I shouldn't start. So, Christian, do you want to give your opinion?
I mean, fair enough. I think I might as well mention this outright, and before it becomes apparent to our listeners, I was also directly involved in the making of this film. Zach cast me as Rip, and yeah, so I'm the first name you see when you hit play on the YouTube video, which is quite intimidating. For a while, I was frankly quite ashamed of my performance in this. And it's easy, of course, to fixate on my own role in this, but it was nice to kind of step back and try to evaluate it as a whole. And with a couple years between the making of this film and now, it was definitely more enjoyable than the frantic experience of having this disseminated to the public, to hear them all talk about how okay my screams were. But I don't think it's that bad. And I think that this film works for me in a way that might not be what Zach exactly intended, and it might not be how it works for some other people. But there are some genuinely frightening moments, like the hand slap on the window. I think that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And there's some smart director moments, like I think the close up on my eye when my eye kind of twitches and opens up a little more right before Jenna's reanimated corpse starts running at me. I think those moments are actually genuinely cool and somewhat frightening. But then there are the other moments, like when we're at the foot of the hill, and my foot just taps her in the torso, and then it cuts her rolling down the hill. I literally started laughing.
Yeah.
So
that was
I described this as, in my Twitter review, a bizarre hodgepodge of black comedy and genuine horror, and that's how this short film works for me, and to that end, it does work genuinely. So I gave this film a 3 out of 5. I am biased. I'm not sure whether I'm biased to like this more or dislike this more, being heavily involved in it. But Zach has true promise, and I'm glad we had this opportunity to embarrass him.
Yeah.
Before Zach tears into himself, I also really like this film, and the reason why is because you can really easily compare this to other student films. And honestly, I mean, Zach being in film and knowing other film creators and stuff, and I really don't, but based on what I've ever seen, I mean, it's definitely up there for one of my favorite student made films. So I mean, not like I do that as a hobby. I wouldn't want to waste time on that, but but I was really glad. Oh my god, I'm getting really loud. I was really glad to have seen this, and there's a lot of references in this that I recognized, and a lot of horror elements that were definitely necessary, and a lot of the vagueness really works, I think. And there's a lot of subtle symbolism that it's like really hard to develop when you're first starting out, I would assume. So like, and what Zach had to work with also was I think he had a good, budget, I guess. I don't know how much he paid Christian. But I guess we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we will.
But yeah, the acting I thought was really solid. I think it was believable enough for me. And I didn't necessarily think it was bad. I mean, this is all like, in the realm of this being a student film, but I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of this I really liked, and I don't feel like, oh, this is just like a project and they just try to meet requirements. Like, there's clearly a lot of creative expression to be seen here.
Yeah.
And, a lot of interesting scenes, and I think it's quite memorable in a lot of ways, actually. So, yeah, I really liked it. I gave it a 3 out of 5. I think that's pretty good, Most student films are like a 2 or a 1.
Oh. Well, thank you. You gentlemen are too kind. Before I give my thoughts, I should mention we're recording in a thunderstorm right now, so if you listeners hear any rumbling in the background, that's what it is. I will say... Yes, atmospheric thunder. I try to avoid watching my own stuff after I've put it out there, just because I feel like, with anything, if you write something, if you act something, if you make something as a video, you're always going to be kind of embarrassed and critical of elements of it that you feel really don't work. But looking back at this for the first time in 2 years, it's both better and worse than I remember. There are some things that I think look really good. I like the framing in some places a lot. And I think I'm sort of impressed that I was able to get some of the cool shots that I did totally on accident, because I basically didn't know what I was doing at all when I made this. But I do think there are some cool shots at the beginning and the end. I really like the escalation at the end when Rip, played by Christian, is running away. That climaxes in his blood splatting against the window. I really like that sequence. I think that I managed to make kind of suspenseful sound design without any idea of how you're actually meant to design sound.
Yeah.
But I think the bits that don't work really don't work. Watching the scene where Jenna is killed back, I had to watch it twice because the first time my head was just in my hands the whole time. And maybe we can talk further about why that scene isn't great, because I had other plans for that scene originally. But I think if that scene was better, I think I'd be a lot prouder of this as a whole, and I think it would probably work a lot better as a whole. I think it would... I mean, there would still be student film rough edges on it, but I think it would be maybe moderately kind of impressive, instead of being a thing with potential with a really embarrassing middle. That's kind of my opinion on it.
Yeah, I definitely think the middle was the worst part by far.
Yeah, but those are my thoughts, and I don't like reviewing my own stuff, but I guess if I had to give this a rating, I'd give it like a 3 out of 5 on like the biggest curve possible. I think I'm expressly comparing this to other stuff I've made and like progress I've made since then.
Right.
And with that in mind, I'd give it like a 3 out of 5.
Yeah. What do you guys think of the acting?
Oh no.
I'm gonna be
Well,
vague now. I'm gonna ask that question.
I can go first on this one, I suppose. First off, I just want to say that I did not pay my actors on this. This was very much a situation where I asked 3 friends, I asked a bunch of people, actually, people involved in theater at our high school. I asked them, hey, would you be interested in doing this? And the people that got back, I said, sure. I mean, I'm not going to be able to pay you, but if that's okay, I can give you a copy of the film and whatnot, and you can use it for applications for things. So it was very much a paid with experience deal. And with that in mind, I think everybody performs fine. I think the best performer in the whole thing, Christian, is you.
Yes.
And I think
yes.
I put you through quite the ringer on set. Both your vocal cords and your lungs. I mean, I asked you to... I really do like your screams. I think your screams are non-theatrical. They feel really panicky and real. I do like them a lot. I also like the sequences of you running. I think you bring a lot of urgency to those, especially the shot where we pan across the field that I had you do like a dozen times.
In a row.
Yeah, in a row. So yeah, I mean, obviously none of the acting in this is like Hollywood caliber, but you wouldn't expect that because it's a student film made by high school students and a director who didn't really know how to work with actors yet. And I think based on that curve, it's A-okay.
Oh, thanks, Zach. That's very kind of you. I think we were fine. I mean, looking back on it, I definitely hate my performance less than I did when I was a sophomore in high school. So, yay for that, I guess. But, I mean, I pretty much agree with everything Zach said. I think Jordan does well to her credit, and I like the little bit we get at the end after she kills me and she kind of, like, scurries away, but we still can't really see what she's become, which is also, like, clever framing by you, Zach.
I like Jordan as a reanimated corpse better than her as a person.
Oh my god. We gotta get our best spin team on this.
Continue, Christian.
I can spin
Continue.
it.
Continue.
I think that's a credit to her acting, honestly.
Yeah,
I really
I'm being
do.
honest.
So, yeah.
It's harder to be a reanimated corpse than it is to be yourself.
For sure. Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think Sam Tyson is a very interesting blank slate, and his bits definitely leave me clamoring for more out of the GCU, or the Garrigus Cinematic Universe, as I like to call it.
Yeah, maybe we can talk about my plan for that character at some point.
I'm waiting for a Fredman Jed crossover. Here's hoping.
Plague rats.
I did have grander plans for Sam Tyson's character in this, but we can maybe get back to that later.
Yeah. So overall, I like the acting. I think Jordan's good. I think Sam's good. I think I'm okay. I actually feel pretty good about like the close-up shots. I think those are like my better moments. But yeah.
I also think that Christian was the best actor, and he's like the only one I've actually seen like acting consistently, because I haven't really and Jordan, I guess. But I haven't really seen Sam Tyson too much, mainly because I don't know who he is as a person. But, I mean, you know, he was pretty good. I mean, obviously, it didn't seem like he was, like, super involved. Didn't seem like he had to do very much. But what he had to do, he did a great job. So, I mean, you know, and Christian, like Zach had said, it seemed obvious that he had been put through the ringer and had a lot to do. And I think you did really well. I like Zach had said, I think you're really convincing. In a lot of shots, and especially when you're in the stupid car. And I mean, Jordan's okay. Jordan's pretty good. I mean, I didn't like her character as much as I did Rip's, I guess. I mean, there's not very much to base off of, I guess. But I mean, yeah. I mean, after you know she came back to life and stuff, that was when it really escalated. There was really a lot of potential there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's I don't think there's too much to talk about, but I mean, I think it was good. It was pretty good. Better, definitely above average for student films that I've seen. Yeah. So, in terms of like, I guess creativity, do you think it worked that it was based off of a lot of like, it was more inspired by type of directing, I guess, than like having like your own directing style? Do you think, Zach, if you just, well, this is like, you know, to everyone, but if Zach had just winged it and just like tried to do his own thing more, do you think that would have worked better overall? Or do you think the way that he executed it by getting, you know, certain references and stuff from other horror films, do you think that worked better?
Well, I would say, I mean, I think this was basically one of the very first short films I ever made, and it was the first thing I ever made entirely outside of like an academic context. Everything I had done before this, I had some kind of like a professor or a mentor kind of supervising it. And I think when you're first starting out as a director or a filmmaker, you don't really have your own style. I think you learn from impersonating other people and failing to some degree. And that failure to impersonate other people and having to create workarounds for what you're trying to achieve kind of creates your own style. I think most filmmakers don't start out saying, like, this is the type of thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to have a signature camera dolly type trick that's going to be the thing I do in everything. I think typically most filmmakers start out and say, I want to make a movie like blank. And then based on whatever they want to make a movie like, they set out to do that, and they make something kind of like that, but also kind of like their own thing. And over time, the kind of like their own thing side begins to sort of take over.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think I would just say, I think pretty much any project, just knowing Zach personally and having worked with him, not just on this, but like in high school theater frequently, I found that Zach's creative approach is very much linked with meticulous organization and a strong overall sense in what it is he wants to achieve or what he wants to do. And I would say that this film and his other films are no exception to that rule. And if part of that organization is sort of establishing what influences his filmmaking style, then I say more power to Zach then. At this point, it's kind of like what you said, Zach. You're kind of just sorting out what works for you and forming your own style. And I think not just in filmmaking, but in like pretty much any art, be it visual art or music or writing or anything, pretty much anyone has to take some sort of influence off of the artists that they've experienced and that they enjoy in their life before they can really start to form their own spin on things. So I would not say that any referential moments are a negative at all. And I think that just sort of is a testament of finding what makes you stronger as a director and as a creative thinker.
Yep. I agree. Not knowing very much about directing, I think Zach does a really good job. I don't think, I mean, you can tell, Zach, everyone can tell that you know what you're doing, Zach, okay?
Yes.
Literally everybody can tell. If you know anything about anything, like if you breathe and eat and sleep and drink, then you probably know that Zach kind of knows what he's doing more than most people. And I think you're definitely, it seems like you really know like what the career path is and what you need to accomplish. And I think this is a great example of building your own experiences and finding out what works for you, like Christian had said. So I mean, you're going to develop your own style, and you have a really unique personality, and there's a lot to get from that. And I think that's going to show on screen soon enough. Maybe not with the Prius, but
Well, thank you.
Maybe not even with a briefcase. Maybe with Sam Tyson, but we'll see.
I should clarify. All these Prius gags are coming from the fact, if you haven't seen the short film, in the script I wrote for the very first shot that our characters pulled up to a dead end in a nondescript vehicle. And then when it came time to shoot the film, I had no nondescript vehicle available. So we used my own car, which happened to be a very brightly colored Toyota Prius.
Orange. Call it what it is.
Orange.
It's a bright orange
Yes.
Prius.
It sticks out like a sore thumb. You would obviously see it coming. It's not a practical getaway car whatsoever, but you know what? It's what I had. So
Nice. It adds personality to the film. Imagine that on a film poster. That would be like a 5 out of 5 Zach review. If there's a Prius. That was like comic book style. Oh my god.
It was also driven without a license plate and by someone who did not have their driver's license yet. So
Oh, no.
That's great.
we were breaking all the rules.
Yeah, Rip's a rule breaker.
You can actually there's a shot in this film where you can see the wrench that I used to take off my license plate. You can see it on the dashboard. Yeah.
That's actually a nice touch.
That's gonna
I
go
like
into
that.
the gag section. What else is there? What about the location, the setting? Did the setting work or nah? I thought it kind of worked. I could tell it was Maryland, but I whatever.
I should say part of the setting was based in convenience. Part of it was just what's near my home we can film at. Because like I said, this is one of the first things I wrote. I didn't want to make it too complicated. I wanted to film something pretty simple to see if I could even film something in the first place. But I will say like I mentioned earlier, I don't think the location really works for Jenna's death scene. In the original script, the way that Jenna dies is that she and Rip are walking through the woods and they come to a swamp with a broken tree that runs across it. And then she walks over first, and he follows her, hits her with the shovel into the water, and then beats her to death. And I had a location all lined up. There was a fallen tree that went right across these kind of like this muddy river. And I thought, yeah, cool, great, we can film here. This is going to look fantastic. And then a couple days before we were going to shoot, the location was destroyed by flooding. So I had to very quickly rewrite the scene. And as a result, instead of Jenna being knocked off a tree or a log, I had it so she was kicked down a hill. And I also had it so that a stunt had to take place in the film that I had absolutely no idea how to shoot. So I think the location works for the most part. But like I said, that middle, basically nothing works.
I kind of like the shovel. I like the rah and then the blood that comes out when I pull it out, even if it's corny and not totally accurate to what might happen.
Yeah.
I mean, shooting in the location was occasionally taxing.
Yes.
There were a lot of bugs up and about, and Zach, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we run into some random boyo out in the woods one day?
We did. There was. I mean, usually nobody goes in there, but there was a neighbor of mine that while we were shooting just kind of happened upon us.
Yeah.
And then walked away. But, that's part of guerrilla filmmaking, so.
Yeah, we should have given him a cameo or something. But, yeah, the location was fine. I think it served the purpose. And I actually think it was nice how you've got that forest off to the side where we're meant to hide the briefcase, and then you've got this expansive field, which was good for the running away shots and the coming back to the car, and the whole dead end thing was a nice aesthetic happening. So I think you really made it work for the most part, except for the middle.
Yeah. I agree with Christian again. I think it was I don't really think the setting was massively important to the big lengthy crazy plot.
Crazy.
The plot really thickened. But I don't know, maybe a bridge. I might have liked a bridge better. I don't know.
Yeah,
a bridge or like an abandoned warehouse.
Abandoned warehouse would have been cool. I considered bridge, but then I thought if there's a bridge, it implies there could be foot traffic, and he's probably wants to kill her somewhere where somebody won't come across her. But I did consider a bridge. And I actually looked for a bridge, but I didn't find a bridge that was low enough to the water that I could knock my actress off of it and guarantee her safety. So we didn't end up doing that.
Yeah, well, I do think there's a lot you can get from the woods because, the number of angles and the trees and, the natural aesthetic and the, the hilly areas and, stuff. I think that really helped with the cinematography.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorite shots in this thing, partially because of the story behind it, there's a really high angle shot of Rip and Jenna walking along, and to get that, I had to climb up a tiny little tree and cling on for dear life as they're angling the camera as they walk past.
That was genuinely terrifying, Zach. You did not look safe up there.
I wasn't safe up there. I fell out of it, or very nearly fell out of it on one take, but...
Yeah, I couldn't even tell. You should have got a drone. That drone would be cool.
I considered it, but I would have had to figure out how to fly it, and that would have been a whole new barrel of fish. So
yeah, that's fine. Well, this was a nice barrel of fish, Zach.
Thank you.
Gosh. These are this is such a big movie. I mean, there's so much to cover. like the woods and the car and the
there is a lot of substance, yeah.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know, Zach, what was your favorite scene?
Oh, my I mean, I do really like that sort of ending ramp up to when Rip is killed. I do really like that scene, and I like the way he gets dragged out, and I like the blood splat against the window. I think all that's quite effective. And I mean, it's obviously cheap, but I think it packs the punch of something you might see in an actual movie, even if it is really poorly color corrected and not exactly well recorded when it comes to sound. But yeah, I would say that's probably my favorite scene in the final film as a product.
Yeah, I'd probably agree. I mean, I I really like the middle, but for the wrong reasons. So,
Shut up.
I don't
Shut
blame
up.
you.
but like, I feel like I'm allowed to enjoy it for the wrong reasons, having been a part of it, and part of the reason that it doesn't work. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't mind the exposition either. If the car was not an orange Prius, I actually think the beginning would be like really like, ooh, what's going on here?
Yeah,
But,
I have to agree. Yeah.
I like the shots of us in the car where we're just kind of like sitting there. Like I do find that at least somewhat genuinely suspenseful.
Yeah.
So I'll give you credit for that. And yeah, I remember I had mixed feelings about how much of the dialogue was cut at first, but I actually think it quite works. The editing room did a good job, and by editing room I mean just you, Zach.
Yes, just me.
Yeah. I like the scene when Rip was running away and yeeting around. That was pretty stressful. I guess it could have been maybe lengthened. I don't know. I felt like he kind of died too fast. Not that Christian wouldn't die fast in real life, but if Christian, I think he could have been given more getaway. No,
Jeez.
I'm just kidding. Okay.
Well, I mean, if an apocalypse were to occur, the first thing I would do is go to Mitchell's house. I'm not even.
And then I would leave my house because I'm not staying around these people. But yeah, I meant my neighbors, not my parents.
Oh yes.
I really like that. I think Christian really looks like he's really running away from Jordan, which is perfectly fine with me. And I thought that was genuinely stressful and nerve-wracking, and I think that was a really good, I don't know what kind of sequence that is. I don't know, running away sequence.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Literally, I mean, the whole 9 yards. I mean, all the cliches and everything. I think that really was very succinct and worked with the pacing. Yeah, but I mean the middle. I mean, just the middle. I mean, I think the beginning kind of bothered me a little bit. Maybe it's just because I know Jordan and Christian, and there might have some bias.
Yeah.
And just seeing them talk really like differently than they are. But I mean, I know I'm kind of going off into a rabbit hole. I know it's just like it's an acting thing, and it's like an early you have to get experience and stuff. But I mean, it's just I don't know. I think comparing the first the first third and the middle third, and then comparing the last third, I think the last third works way better with the way that Zach was trying to portray the movie, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I really like this film. I think there's a lot. I think anybody that knows you should definitely see this. Just generally. Yeah. I think anybody who sees you should definitely see like what you've been inspired by and how much you actually know, because I think it really takes a lot of there's not very much left over of your creative expression. I think you really put a lot of effort into this.
Thank you.
Even if you actually didn't, I think you really did. But
there was effort. It was just kind of misdirected or directionless effort, because as I said, I didn't necessarily know what I was doing. As I said in my Twitter review, given that nobody really had any idea what they were doing, it could have been much, much worse.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's really, I can't think of anything that could have been really fixed, to be totally honest. I mean, I think it pretty much works the way that it is on its own. I mean, there's always going to be like the little gripes and the stuff we already talked about, but I mean, it's just, I think there's a very consistent story. There's a good plot. I think there's a lot of ambiguity that's very necessary, and the cliches are kind of cool. And I think the more that you know about film and the more that you know about horror, the more you will enjoy this. And I think just because it has that aspect to it, I think adds a lot of value to your work, Zach. So.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I mean, they do say that a piece of art is never finished. It's just abandoned, and I think that is true to a certain extent with films. Especially the stuff I've worked on, I've found that you can pore over this thing day and night, and you'll never get to a place where you're totally happy with it, but you kind of have to get to a place eventually where, based on what you know at the time or what you're capable of doing, you say, okay, it's good enough. And then you've got to kind of just let it out. If I had made this now, it probably would have stayed in editing a little bit longer. but for what I knew then, I reached the point of time to send it out into the world, and it went out.
Well, we're not getting a special edition with CGI monsters.
Yeah.
No, we are not.
Damn
no.
it.
Oh yeah, practical effects were pretty good too, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I do think the practical effects look better than I remember them looking. I think they look, when the gore is on things that aren't human skin, I think it looks pretty good. When it is on human skin, it looks absolutely atrocious. So,
Yeah, but with what you had, I mean, you used a very necessary amount of gore. I think.
Thank you.
I think that really worked. I don't think. I mean, it was there's like a level where it's like it's just too much, and then just under that is like this is really cheesy, and this is really cheesy. So I think it's a good safe zone to be. And like the way that you sprayed it and stuff and splattered it, and I think that was pretty cool.
using only a turkey baster.
Only a turkey baster.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a sequel?
Well, that's the thing. Not like a direct sequel.
Okay.
When I originally, maybe I don't want to give away my full hand, but
Yeah, don't. You don't
nobody's
have to.
gonna
Don't.
watch this anyway. When
Yeah, right. They're gonna listen to it.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. When I originally wrote this, I had a thought that I wasn't done with the Man in Black character played by Sam Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
I had plans to make the Man in Black like a recurring thing in everything I made. Like, even if he was just sitting in the background in like a single shot for like a second, I wanted him to be in everything. And then eventually I thought one day I'll make like a feature that explains who he is and what was in the briefcase, and I had this whole elaborate plan for how it would pay off, and then I just never used the character ever again. I had this plan to have him be like my Thanos for my own cinematic and video-based universe, and then I just never did anything with it. So maybe I'll come back to the concept at some point, but I think for now maybe it's a creative idea just kind of left in the past while I work on other things.
What do you think, Christian?
Well, I think Zach needs to follow in Sam Raimi's footsteps and make sure that every single film that he makes moving forward has his orange Prius in it.
Oh no.
And has me in it as his Bruce Campbell.
Yes. Chainsaw
but-
Shotgun Gang.
Yes. I will never stop pestering Zach to cast me.
Yes.
But,
In 20 years, you're going to see a film where Christian plays the maitre d' at an Italian restaurant in one of my films.
Oh, now you said it. Now
Favorite.
it's out there now, Zach. You have to make the
Yeah.
film.
Now it's
You-
Guaranteed. I've made a promise.
Somebody's gonna steal it. Somebody's gonna steal Christian right under your feet. It's gonna be me. Yeah, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, short films for shorter episodes.
Zach did a great job. I think there's a lot of really cool aspects of this that a lot of people our age would not be able to pull off at all.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think you're definitely in a very strong minority who can actually, take from your own experiences and what you've seen and, make something into your own a little bit.
Yeah.
So we all look forward to your sequel / Christian's role.
Thank you. Yeah.
Whatever that was.
And if our listeners are interested in watching, you can find it on the YouTube channel, City Mist Productions. There's a whole playlist of my shorts.
Yeah.
Don't watch the
good.
portfolio cut. The portfolio cut is inferior.
Yes, don't watch the portfolio cut. The portfolio cut was made. I don't even know if the portfolio cut is available on City Mist. It might just be on my older YouTube channel. But the portfolio cut was made purely so I could just apply for like a scholarship, and it's a cut down, not really telling the full story version. But yeah, check it out on the YouTube channel if you're interested.
Mm-hmm. You're not gonna find out what's in the briefcase.
No,
Spoiler.
Not yet,
gonna know
at
what it
least.
is.
not yet. Maybe my
end?
last words. It'll be like Citizen Kane. My last words are going to be a reference to Briefcase.
I know it's in it. George.
George Mama?
Yes. George.
You cracked it.
I knew it. I knew it.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Yay. Okay, we can do the rundown now.
Okay.
All right. Time for the rundown. I think this is going to be quite a doozy for you, Zach.
Yeah, Christian cracked it up. I added a couple.
We've got quite a list, and we're going to say them at you, and you're going to respond with a rating out of 5, as always. Mitchell, are you ready to start us off? All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Casting stage actors for screen acting.
3 out of 5?
Your orange Prius as nondescript car.
2 out of 5.
Blunt object cinematography.
3 out of 5.
Dumping leftover blood on your cast just for kicks.
1 out of 5.
Christian Maric is Rip.
3 out of 5.
The cut line, sorry, hon, there's only so much to go around.
Oh, 1 out of 5.
Rip's Ace Ventura hairdo.
3 out of 5.
Climbing a tree to get the shot.
4 out of 5.
Jordan Samad as Jenna.
3 out of 5.
Fumbling with car keys.
3 out of 5.
Inexplicable bloodstains on Rip's back.
1 out of 5.
The GCU, Garrigus Cinematic Universe.
3 out of 5.
Exorbitant screaming.
3 out of 5.
Pulling a George Lucas by writing, directing, and producing.
I don't... 3 out of 5.
The portfolio cut.
Oh, 2 out of 5.
Paying your cast with a ride to Chick-fil-A after rap.
2 out of 5.
One
Purposely
second.
vague symbolism.
3 out of 5.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Oh, man. I didn't know if we were going to bring up my method of paying the cast. My method that I thought was genuinely kind of cool at the time, and I look back on as like, oh my goodness, I scammed them so hard.
They never saw it coming. They thought there was going to be a payout.
Yeah.
It was cool.
They thought they were going to get a percentage of the profits, but no. They just got chicken sandwiches.
They just got chicken sandwiches. Classic Garrigus. Anyway, this has been Cookie Pot. Wait, whose thing is next?
It'll be Christian next.
Christian, go!
I have to give the listeners some context on this one. I've been holding over Zach's head the fact that I've been hoping to do a Ben Stiller movie, and it's been tearing Zach up not to know which Ben Stiller movie it is. So
Indeed.
This is a bit of a grand announcement. To conclude season 1, our last film that we will watch and discuss is The Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
I knew it.
I think it'll be a nice little microcosm type. It's a fitting conclusion to a season. I think it's a good movie to conclude with. So I'm looking forward to talking to it with both of you.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah. All right, thank you, actor Christian and director Zach. You guys did a great job.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yes, I'm very happy all like 10 of our listeners could listen to this
Yes.
and possibly watch it. Or just spoil the whole movie for yourselves.
Yeah.
Lazy bums. This has been Cookie Pocket, episode 21, an attempted podcast. Oh, I should have said it's been a Cookie Pocket and attempted a podcast, episode 21. That would be more. It's gonna put the colon in it. It doesn't work. Anyway.
Yeah.
Episode 21. Stay tuned for 22 soon. Goodbye.
Bye.